In this lesson, I'm going to show you how easy it is to start speaking Portuguese. There won't be any complicated rules to remember. All you have to do is follow along. By the end, you'll be surprised at just how much you'll be able to say. Listen to this word, quero, quero, quero. Quero means I want. One of my favorite songs is a song called Quero Ser Feliz Também. I want to be happy too.
Quero ser feliz também, navegar nas águas do teu mar.
So first, you'll notice that the QU has a K sound, but it's different from the K sound in, say, the English word kid. If you put the palm of your hand right up against your mouth and say kid, you'll feel this big puff of air come out when you say it. Kid. Now try the same thing, but with Bianca, and pay attention to the effect you get when you pronounce that last syllable. Bianca. Notice how you don't have that same puff of air? It's a much more muted sound, and this is what we want in Portuguese. So taking that K sound from Bianca and applying it here, you get quero, no puff of air. Notice how I'm not saying quero. Then the R here sounds almost like the double D in the word kiddo, if you were to say it really fast. Kiddo, kiddo. So you want the tip of your tongue to just barely tap this ridge right here, right above your front teeth. Quero, quero. Then finally, you might have noticed by now that the O sounds like a U. Quero. To say I want, you could just say quero, or you could say eu quero. Eu meaning I.
Eu quero ser feliz e amar você.
Now listen to our next word. Ir. Ir. Ir means to go. So let's say you're talking with a Brazilian friend. You guys are talking about Brazil and you want to say, I want to go. The way you would say that is eu quero ir. Eu quero ir. So if falar means to speak, how would you say I want to speak? Eu quero falar. Eu quero falar. Notice how I'm barely pronouncing the R in falar. Now, there's a lot of regional variation in how the final R is pronounced, but for our purposes, we're going to treat it almost as a silent letter. Falar. Eu quero falar. Now let's see how you'd say Portuguese. Português. 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 So let's take a look at how the P is pronounced in Portuguese, using a couple of words in English to help illustrate. Let's take a look at the English word port. So same thing we did with the K sounds. If you put your hand up against your mouth and say port, you'll feel that puff of air when you pronounce the P. And again, this isn't what we want in Portuguese. Now try the same thing with the word hippo, and pay attention to the effect you get when you pronounce the last syllable. Hippo. You'll notice that you don't have that same big puff of air, and this is what we want when we're pronouncing the P in Portuguese. So taking the P sound in the word hippo, you get português, no puff of air. Now let's take a look at how the T is pronounced in Portuguese compared to English. With the English word to, for example, you'll feel that puff of air if you do the same test with your hand. To. But when you say the Portuguese tu, you don't have that same puff of air. So why exactly is this? When you pronounce the English T, as in the words to or tall, the tip of your tongue makes contact with the ridge right above your front teeth, and you let a ton of air escape through your mouth. Too. Tall. The Portuguese T, on the other hand, is pronounced with the tip of the tongue pressed against the back side of the front teeth, and you quickly snap your tongue down. Tu, as in português. Português. So going back to our phrase, eu quero falar, I want to speak, how would you say, I want to speak Portuguese? Eu quero falar português. Eu quero falar português. Now listen to the next word. Aprender. 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 Aprender means to learn. So the first thing that might jump out at you is the pronunciation of the en, which sounds almost like it's got a G attached to the end. Ain. And just like the R in quero, the R here is going to sound more like a soft D, where your tongue just barely taps the ridge right above your front teeth. So you can start by saying pra, 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 prem, aprender, aprender. Again, I'm treating the R at the end of the word almost as a silent letter.
Eu quero aprender.
So how would you say, I want to learn Portuguese? Eu quero aprender português. Eu quero aprender português. Our next word literally means no, but we also use it to say that we don't want to do something. Listen carefully. Não. Não. This is how it's spelled. Não. So how do we pronounce this sound? Let's take the English word now as a starting point. Then we're going to add an NG sound to the end. Now. Now, try keeping your mouth just barely open when you say it. No. No. So if you wanted to say, I don't want to go, you'd say, eu não quero ir. Eu não quero ir. How would you say, I don't want to speak? Eu não quero falar. Eu não quero falar. Not that you'd ever want to say this, but how would you hypothetically say, I don't want to learn? Eu não quero aprender. Eu não quero aprender. So if fazer means to do, how would you say that you don't want to do something? Eu não quero fazer. Eu não quero fazer. What if you do want to do something? Eu quero fazer. Eu quero fazer. Notice how the it is implied and isn't translated here. Listen to the next word, which will help us say that we really want to do something. Muito. 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 Notice again how the O is pronounced like a U, and when you pronounce the T, there should be no puff of air coming out. Muito. So to say that you really want to do something, you'd say, eu quero muito fazer. Eu quero muito fazer.
Eu quero muito fazer.
Now let's say you're talking to a friend about Brazil. How would you say that you really want to go? Eu quero muito ir. Eu quero muito ir. How do you say that you really want to learn something? Eu quero muito aprender. Eu quero muito aprender.
Porque eu quero muito aprender.
Now, say that you really want to learn Portuguese. Eu quero muito aprender português. Eu quero muito aprender português. Now, instead of saying I want, let's see how we'd say I need or have to do something. Listen closely. Preciso. 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 Notice how the S is pronounced like a Z. Preciso. How would you say I need to go? Eu preciso ir. Eu preciso ir. How would you say I need to learn? Eu preciso aprender. Eu preciso aprender.
Eu preciso aprender a ser só.
How would you say I need to learn Portuguese? Eu preciso aprender português. Eu preciso aprender português. How would you say that you really need to do something? Eu preciso muito fazer. Eu preciso muito fazer. So if mais means more, how would you say I need to do more? Eu preciso fazer mais. Eu preciso fazer mais. How would you say I want to do more? Eu quero fazer mais. Eu quero fazer mais.
Eu quero mais. Eu quero fazer mais.
Now, if you wanted to say that you want to do a lot more, you'd say, eu quero fazer muito mais. Eu quero fazer muito mais. So, muito can mean really as well as a lot. How would you say, I want to learn a lot more? Eu quero aprender muito mais. Eu quero aprender muito mais. Now listen to our next word, which means I'm going. Vou. 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 So the key here is to keep the O sound nice and short. Vou. How would you say that you're going to do something? Eu vou fazer. Eu vou fazer. How would you say I'm gonna do a lot more? Eu vou fazer muito mais. Eu vou fazer muito mais. How would you say I'm going to learn a lot more? Eu vou aprender muito mais. Eu vou aprender muito mais. Now, a question you'll get asked is why you're learning Portuguese. Por que português? Por que português? Again, make sure that there's no puff of air when you pronounce the P and K sounds. Por quê? Por que português? If you want to say it's because you need it, maybe because of a job or a Brazilian significant other, you could say, porque eu preciso. Porque eu preciso. Notice how the word for because is the same for why, except that here it's spelled as one word. Porque eu preciso. Listen to the next word. Gosto. Gosto. Gosto means I like. Notice how the first O is pronounced like the A in awesome. Gosto. How would you say because I like it? Porque eu gosto. Porque eu gosto. Now, if you want to say that it's because you like the language, you'd say porque eu gosto da língua. Porque eu gosto da língua. How would you say because I really like the language? Porque eu gosto muito da língua. Porque eu gosto muito da língua. Now for the final test. How would you say, I want to learn Portuguese because I really like the language? Eu quero aprender português porque eu gosto muito da língua. Eu quero aprender português porque eu gosto muito da língua. Eu quero aprender português porque eu gosto muito da língua. So to really absorb the material in this lesson, I recommend repeating it 3 to 5 times over the next week. If you're able to follow along this lesson, you have what it takes to get good at Portuguese. You just need the right method and someone to help guide you along the journey. If you enjoyed this tutorial and would like to see more, make sure to let me know in the comments. Till next time, ciao.